to Previously on X-Men, the podcast that looks at X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more. I'm Hillary, and today I've got...
It's me, Nick.
It's Nick. You jumped the gun a little bit.
I'm sorry. It's just Captain America was in it, so contractually I have to be back, and here I am.
And here you are. Today, we are back talking about X-Men 97. The episode is Bright Eyes.
Bright Eyes. I had the song stuck in my head the whole time.
Yeah. You want to sing a little
Every now and then.
Is that it?
Yeah. Turn around.
Okay. Bright Eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought this would be more cable heavy based on the name.
Not cable heavy. Really not.
Very little cable.
No. I kind of forgot that Life Death Part 2 was in between the Gambit death and this scene as like a bit of a palate cleanser. I was thinking we were going right from Gambit to this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of intensity in this episode.
Sure was.
I don't want to jump the gun on how we feel about it, but I have to say I appreciated how this picked one story and told that story
It chose a story to tell
without
and then told the
introducing
story.
5 new storylines
Yes.
that it starts and completes in the course of 45
That is
seconds.
True.
So,
what an interesting choice.
yeah, heavy moment followed by a good summation of that and the closing.
Then
so
we move on, yeah.
I love it.
The streaming debut for this was April 24, 2024.
Yes.
Which is the century that we're in.
Correct.
This was directed by Emi Yanamura, written by Charlie Feldman and J.B. Ballard.
Okay.
Do you want to tell us the new cast since it's your buddy?
Sure, yes, I do. Well, I guess first we have to mention that Chris Potter, the original voice of Gambit, shows up here as Cable. And I think we've seen him before, but there was a lot more dialogue and stuff in this.
Yeah, I never
one,
would have
so.
called it. Never.
I was purposely listening for it, and I could hear it just a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not a great Cable voice. It's not terrible, but
He's got a grizzled vibe.
Yeah, he's going for it. Our new cast, we have notably Josh Keaton as Captain America. He's done tons of voice work. He voiced Spider-Man in Spectacular Spider-Man. He was Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern animated series, which was great. He voiced Cyclops in X-Men Legends 2. He voiced Carter Diaz in the video game Star Trek Resurgence, which is a lot of fun. But I think probably best known for voicing Jules Brown, the son of Doc and Clara in the forgotten animated series Back to the Future, the animated series.
As we all know him from that.
He was but a child in that.
Who the heck is Jules
on.
Brown?
They have the... at the end, these are our sons, Jules and Vern,
I don't, but okay.
Oh, they have kids at the end of Back to the Future 3, and then the cartoon is more about the kids
so
than Doc and Marty.
Brown's kids.
Doc Brown and Clara. Come on.
And Clara.
That's their children, yes.
Okay.
And he voiced Jules.
Well, there you go.
He was the rascal. He was the rapscallion, always getting into stuff. So, who else do we have? Well, we have Michael Patrick McGill as Thunderbolt Ross, not voiced by Harrison Ford.
Oddly.
Who
Odd
recently...
choice not to...
How'd you feel about Captain America Brave New World?
As I recall, I thought it was fine.
I had a
You
good time.
wanted more Red Hulk, and I wanted less Red Hulk.
No, I wouldn't say that. The introduction of Red Hulk has this, it's teased out over like 40 issues, who is Red Hulk. There's a big mystery around it, and it's a pretty cool story arc. I really loved it. And this didn't do that at all. It was
I
just
mostly just liked, I just wanted to watch Sam do his thing.
Yeah. I get it.
And then there was a Red Hulk.
Well,
and I was
Red
like,
Hulk
great,
is
whatever.
not just like a big
No, I know.
mindless, like the Incredible
I've read
Hulk.
it. I
He's
know.
supposed to be, all right, sorry. They did introduce Adamantium, so
They did introduce Adamantium.
outside of, these X-Men cameos, that's maybe the biggest mainline X-Men thing to come in so far.
Yeah, man. We just watched Thunderbolts, and it just kind of, I liked it. Fine.
I
This
liked
isn't
it a
about
lot.
the movie. This isn't about the
just
movie.
fine? You only
This
liked
isn't,
it?
no,
Sorry.
I liked it. I'm
Okay.
saying it doesn't matter that I liked it or not, because I'm not talking about the movie.
Understood.
What I'm saying is, it reminded me that they're slowly, their introduction of the X-Men, now that they've said that they're going to do it, is like the tiniest, slowest rollout I have ever witnessed.
It's true. Well, you have Patrick Stewart rolling in for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. You got, Kelsey Grammer showing up at the end of the Marvels.
Yeah.
Of course, Deadpool and Wolverine brought in a lot, but that's an alternate kind of thing. So.
It's all just like cameos and not in like this is how they're going to be a part of the universe now or anything. There hasn't yet been anything that's like, and now mutants are a thing.
Yeah, well, I think
it's just been a long time.
It has been. Ms. Marvel and Namor, I think, are the only confirmed mutants so far.
Yeah, but just because they say that.
I know. But maybe it'll happen one day.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think we need to let Hugh Jackman rest.
I don't need more Wolverine.
Yeah. Okay.
For heaven's sake.
All right. Well, All right, where was I? Michael Patrick McGillis, Thunderbolt Ross. He reprised the role from Marvel What If, so he's already been voicing Ross in the mainstream over there. But he's known primarily for live action roles and even appeared as a cop in the CW era of 90210.
Crossover.
90210, here we go. And finally, we have Theo James as Bastion.
I loved this voice.
Yeah. It is a good voice, and I looked it up, and he is not a voice actor.
I could have sworn that I knew his voice from something.
I combed IMDb, and I didn't see anything that looked like a voice credit to me.
He doesn't sound like a voice actor, though.
Yeah, agreed.
He sounds just like what it sounds like is they got some famous guy who doesn't do voice acting to do it.
Your instincts are dead on. He is best known for playing 4 in the Divergent film series. Based on those Veronica. No, he's done a lot of stuff, but that was like his big thing back in the day. Those petered out. You know, Eric and I read the first Divergent book for a book club years ago. It's not great.
Okay.
Remember how they made 3 of those movies and they had one left and they were just like,
yeah,
we've done enough.
It's almost like dragging out these series for years and years and years and years isn't a winning proposition.
I hope that we're done splitting books into 2 to make longer movies, but boy,
yeah,
it was not a good time.
Yeah,
not a good time.
Bad idea all around.
Anyway, that's the majority of our cast. Yeah, and we've got, of course, all the returning players coming back here.
So, Bright Eyes. We begin with a rainy day in the cemetery at Gambit's funeral.
Yes.
First thing you see is a memorial photo of Gambit.
Yeah.
And do you think I have opinions?
It was a weird move, but please tell me what you thought.
He's in full uniform.
That's weird.
And
yeah.
Why? That just doesn't seem like that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Yeah.
And it's not like a public event or something. It's not like remember this fallen X-Man or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like their family.
It's their
Belladonna's there and Rogue's not there. That's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But just have him in the weird crop top or something.
I was just going to say, if anything, give us that crop top.
It should be casual, is all I'm saying.
I agree.
I thought it was weird. It stood out to me.
Yeah,
but anyway.
It makes it less personal.
Yes, exactly.
It adds
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Is Nightcrawler a priest? That was my question. Is he like a legit?
I think
a priest. A man of the cloth.
He has been a priest. I can't remember if he's been a priest in the show or if it's just in the comics.
Well, I guess he was like a monk in the original series, so I guess...
Yeah, he's a priest.
He got promoted. Good for him.
Anyway, so Nightcrawler is doing the homily.
Yes.
It's lovely. Mm-hmm. Everyone is sad. Then at the end, we have Jubilee has burst into tears because she's just so upset that Rogue didn't come.
Yeah.
And I guess from a teenager, I get it.
I believed it. Yeah.
Because, realistically, very understandable why she wouldn't come to something like this. But
Wolverine says, "Grief's a lonely war." And I thought that was a good line.
Yes.
She's got to fight her own battles now.
She's got to fight her own battles, and boy, does she.
Yes.
So we have that, just like our mention of Rogue, and then it's a hard cut to her.
Going for it.
Okay, so she's just flying full speed into the desert somewhere, and she finds a military base and just beats the crap out of these people.
I was trying to think if there's been a time where we've seen her go that hard, and I feel like no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Certainly not in the animated
series.
Oh, yeah. Because even when she's fighting hard, she's always sort of jocular about it.
Yeah,
well, yeah, she's picking up tanks and crushing other tanks with those tanks.
Yep.
So she's mad.
Yeah.
And she's trying to find Trask and Guy Ritchie.
Yes.
Basically for revenge because of Gambit. Then we have another cut to Cyclops talking to the president. And the president is very sympathetic, but the optics of supporting the mutant reconstruction of Genosha is he just can't possibly be expected to do such things.
And he's trying to sell this line of listen, I'm trying to toe this line here so you don't get somebody more unfriendly to mutants in my place. But I say primary everybody. That's how
primary
I'm feeling.
Everybody,
That's
baby.
how I'm feeling right now.
And Cyclops, I'm still always expecting present day comics Cyclops.
Yeah.
So I was ready for him to be radicalized by this.
Yeah.
He goes back to being a good guy, but he does to the president. He's well, I guess probably if they looked more human, you would be a little more, wanting to help.
I'm ready for Dark Cyclops, and I feel like they want to do it.
There are hints.
Yeah.
There are hints.
They're leading up to it. We did at the military base earlier. That's where we saw Thunderbolt Ross just being like, what's going on here? Over.
He mentions the Hulk.
He does mention the
Hulk.
and
he says that the base is built to withstand the Hulk, so whatever.
And then she just opens it like a tin can. Yeah.
Just demolishes it. Pretty good showing for Rogue, even though she's sad. So then after this conversation where the U.S. isn't going to support Genosha, they're not gonna send people to dig through the rubble.
That's a little hard to take. Yeah.
So Cyclops and Jean decide that they're gonna do like an official X-Men visit to Genosha to help and show hope and stuff, because they want to find survivors because they're survivors, and also to give hope to the mutant community around the world. So they arrive on Genosha. It's Cyclops and Jean and somebody else. Is it all of them?
Beast is there.
Yeah. Trish comes up to talk to Beast. I don't like Trish.
Yeah.
I think that she's too, I don't know. She acts like she's a part of it.
Yeah, like part of the resistance, but she was all about the gotcha journalism earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
But whatever. They take a walk. She takes a walk with Beast, and they seem to have a nice moment, I guess.
Yeah.
They seem to be kind of leaning into that romance idea. Back with Rogue, she has found a remote base, still looking for Trask and Gyrich.
Yes.
And before she can get in, she is blocked by a flying shield.
Who could it be?
It's Captain America!
Yay!
And interestingly, she runs into him because he was already there.
Yeah.
You get the impression initially that he has been sent to stop her or something,
right.
But no, it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, they're on the same trail.
Yeah. He's trying to solve this crime or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like she is.
Right.
But he's also I got to toe the line. I'm representing the country or whatever.
Yep. And she calls him America's top cop, which I thought was kind of a funny little burn that she throws his way.
Well, yeah.
I still don't really love the voice. I mean, this is a different voice from Eric and I when we discussed Old Soldiers. Same kind of thing. It's just, I guess I picture Captain America as having sort of a hello, I'm Captain America. And this was kind of a weak voice, which I felt like was the same vibe they did in the earlier show. So I don't know if they were trying to sort of mimic that voice, but
I don't know.
I didn't think it was
a
strong. Really? Okay, I just didn't think it was a strong showing for Cap.
I liked that he had taken it upon himself to figure out what happened on Genosha.
Yeah.
Especially the counterpoint of the president being well, I can't possibly.
Yeah.
And he says, Captain America says to Rogue, this wasn't just a mutant tragedy. It shames us all or something like that. So he's really taking this seriously, which I thought was nice. It's also funny because I just reread X-Men versus the Avengers.
Oh.
So I'm he's being so
he's
thoughtful about
he's
the
nice
mutant concern.
Yeah. I do like that he's there, and I feel like it's a good bit of, often, as especially when you're looking at the movies and things like that, it's it would make sense for a character to be there, but we're not going to get into that, or we're not going to. Captain America doesn't have a ton to do here, but I think having him and seeing Ross and kind of connecting it to the broader world, and having Captain America feeling, the onus is on him to I must, do my duty here. I just felt was a really nice touch. It's a quick scene, but it was good to have.
It's something that's missing a lot, probably most of the time in the Marvel comics, that there's just a very clear divide, and they have to make a point of connecting the mutant storyline to the Avengers and all of that storyline.
Well, you really those worlds really can't exist together in a logical way. And so anytime they do, it's kind of well, where the heck have you been while we've been, So, it's hard to toe that line. But again, I appreciated the touch of having him here. And the music when he comes in, I wondered if you recognized it.
It sounds... I guess I felt like they were trying to do something like the Avengers theme.
That's exactly
that wasn't
what I thought.
Actually the Avengers
That's
theme.
what I thought. It really butts right up to that theme. And I wondered if maybe it was the theme from one of the shows, like Earth Mightiest Heroes or something. But there wasn't enough of it to really identify it. But I liked the touch of, Avengers music-ish.
Yeah. So we have a tiny bit of a buddy cop moment. The two of them, Rogue and Captain America, are investigating in this bunker. Captain America says that he thinks he can hack the system.
Yeah, that was funny. Did you do a lot of hacking in 1941 there, Steve?
He's been brushing up.
I guess so. When she's pushing him to do more, he's saying look, I got to follow the rules. My hands are tied. And she says, oh, well, if your hands are tied, you won't be needing this. And she takes the shield and just hucks it into the mountains.
Yep.
And he's just like, oh. And then that's the end of the scene. That's the last we see of Cap. So she really does get the last word there.
Yes, she does. I love me some angry Rogue.
Yeah. Yeah, it was spiteful.
Okay, so part of why they were discussing his hands being tied is
Yes.
that they discovered that where Gyrich is in a facility in Mexico.
Right.
And so Captain America's like, I can't just go down there with the shield and
Exactly,
everything in
yeah.
Mexico. That's going to be like an invasion.
Yeah.
So Rogue just goes
Yeah,
herself.
yeah.
She arrives there and it's like a spa. Like it's not a
Right.
prison.
Right. Yeah.
And so she goes in there. There's a bunch of dudes and she just like wipes them out. Mm-hmm. Not even subtle. She finds Gyrich and he's very like petty and he's just not scared or surprised that she's there. Mm-hmm. And he just goes full bigot with like, we need to wipe out whatever.
Your kind, yeah.
She grabs his face.
She does.
Back in Genosha, we have Jean and Cyclops in like some rubble and stuff. And Jean starts to have these kind of psychic echoes of the people dying and stuff. And she's having a very dramatic experience. Cyclops takes that moment to apologize for being a jackass about Madeline.
Yep.
They're all very sad because they think Madeline is dead. I can't remember if she actually is or not.
We don't really know, but Jean says, like, with Storm going, I was kind of looking forward to having a sister, ?
Yes, and she suddenly, I found that very surprising.
Yeah.
Because the last we saw of the two of them, I really felt like she was feeling bitter about Cyclops's relationship with Madeline.
Yeah, because
Is that how we left it?
Wasn't it in the lead up to the Gambit face-off? Wasn't she finding out that he'd been communicating with Madeline? Yeah. And so, I don't know, maybe just the reality
don't
of the
speak
situation.
ill of the dead, I guess.
Like,
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But anyway, so they're sort of having a moment where they're, she compares it to all of the nonsense that happened with her and the Phoenix and like all that kind of stuff.
It's one of the more mature conversations they ever have, I think, about their relationship. It's just like this is
like it's always a mess.
Awful.
One of us is always screwing something up.
Yeah.
And Cyclops says to her, but you always came back. And she says, one of us did.
Right.
I feel like they're working towards a breakup is all.
Yeah, it seems like it.
So anyway, that's happening. While they're having this conversation, there's an alert that there's been a survivor has been found. And she senses a psychic somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so they run out to find who it is. Cyclops and Jean both think that it's Madeline because it's a telepath. And they are sad to find out that it's not. But who it is Emma Frost, and she has just now manifested her diamond form, which apparently she had never done before in this universe.
I guess that's true. I don't remember ever seeing that.
So it's just like the stress of being covered in rubble, I guess.
Turned her into a diamond.
She's a diamond now.
Okay. Isn't that pretty
neat.
much what happens to coal? Just
Yes.
the compression and okay.
That is actually exactly how it happens.
Okay.
So they're happy to find her. Jean and Cyclops are sad. Cyclops even cries, which feels like a lot.
He's gone through it.
But Morph then is on the phone or whatever and calls them back to the Blackbird because Bolivar Trask is calling the X-Men. Yeah. And so they go back there and he's on the video screen or whatever and seems like genuinely remorseful about what happened on Genosha.
Yeah.
He says that Sinister did it and didn't tell him what he was going to use the technology for. Mm-hmm. And that I guess he wants them to protect him or something. I don't know. But he sort of gives them a little coded message. He tells them where to come and find him. It's like a UN facility somewhere. Mm-hmm. And to remember that there's always diet in the
soda machine or something. Yeah, it's like it never runs out of diet. That's like a little code.
And so they hang up, whatever. So then we cut to Roberto and Jubilee, who have previously had conversations. I didn't write them down, but they've sort of had loose conversations while they're cleaning up the rubble about Roberto still saying that he's like just pretending that he's not a mutant.
Right.
And that he's on a ski trip, not helping at Genosha. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Jubilee convinces him to come clean to his family because she's like, if you had been here in Genosha and just died...
Yeah.
Then, like, the way they find out you're a mutant is that you were killed in Genosha.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And speaking of people not being here, back in the Mojo episode, that's really where the Jubilee Roberto relationship leveled up. Mm-hmm. That's a pun because it's a video game thing, which because because
I watched it.
You watched the
I was
episode
there and watched it.
You always watch the Mojo
had
episodes.
Had much to talk about it.
That's
I'm
true.
pretty sure.
But yeah, that ends with the big kiss and everything. So like now they're in it to win it at this point.
So
they're the only stable couple in the X-Men right now.
I like it. I like Jubilee having
I do too.
appear.
I think that
really
gives
good.
a lot of character
And
development.
Roberto is always a pretty interesting type to bring in.
Yeah.
Like the wealthy hiding his mutant dumb whatever.
Yeah.
So
a la Angel.
A la Angel. So Roberto and Jubilee go to his house. And he's just determined now. Like he's flipped a switch somehow. And he's just like, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Well, I think the reality of how mutants are treated and everything, he's just like, I can't keep hiding like post Genosha. Yeah. So they're outside and she's like, okay, we got to ease into it. They're making all of these plans.
She's strategizing for how to break the news.
Hard cut to Roberto and his mom being like, hey, I'm a mutant.
Yeah.
Like no preamble.
So surprise turn here. She already knew.
Yeah.
She is like, oh, thank goodness you finally told me. We've been like, we've known this whole time because like all these disasters kept happening when you were growing up.
Yeah.
And like, we've just known and we just thought it was your secret to tell.
Yeah. Very, very transparent coming out allegory with the way this comes out and the way she acts and then the way she continues to act about it.
Yes. It's a real shame.
It is.
Because you get this very warm moment where it's like, I love you no matter what. And like, I'm so glad that we can be honest together.
Right.
And it's like, oh, we didn't expect her to accept him.
No.
This is so great.
No, I'm sure that's how it's going to stay.
And then she says, so now we just have to figure out how to keep this quiet.
Right. Perfect.
And it's just heartbreaking.
It is. It's sad.
So now she wants them to just cover it up. She says, like, be careful about his associations.
Yeah.
You don't want to be too obvious hanging out with this mutant girl and all this. So it's very sad.
It is sad.
It's almost like worse than if she had just
I think it's definitely
been
worse.
a jerk about it.
Agreed.
It's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
So the last we saw Rogue in Mexico with Guy Rich,
mm-hmm.
she grabbed his face with her bare hand.
Right.
And she like absorbed something and it knocked her out.
Yeah, you see this whole like it pulls back and she's like taking so much information in. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's unconscious. The next time we see her, she's waking up to Nightcrawler.
Yeah. This is an episode where they remember that they're siblings.
This season, they really lean into that. And I like
they
that
do.
a lot.
I like it as well. Over on 90210, there's a pair of characters, David and Kelly, for all you 90210 fans. And depending on the episode,
sometimes
either they're siblings or nobody remembers that fact. So
always fun.
I'm glad that these two remembered today.
So Nightcrawler is like comforting her and stuff.
Yes.
She is finally in a place where she can really like cry about this. And so she like cries in his arms and it's so lovely. And then she turns around and the rest of the X-Men are all there. That was a good shot.
That was definitely a good shot.
And they're all just there for her and it doesn't matter what she's been doing. They're just supporting her.
Well, she has some line about like how it's so hard to lose someone and Nightcrawler's like, you lost two.
Yeah.
Because of Magneto.
It's,
that's another
and he
hit.
understands that. And he she has, it feels like, this is another one of those things. I've talked about this before. They managed to convey so much complexity and subtlety that you would normally only see in physical
live
acting.
action. Yeah, agreed.
It's really impressive.
I agree.
And you just see in that moment when he says the two, that she hasn't let herself think of it that way because she feels so guilty about how things went down between like Magneto and Gambit.
And he's basically giving her permission or whatever to grieve.
Yeah. It's really
It's
lovely.
a nice moment.
So now that they've cleared up that whole situation, they all go together to the UN place to find Trask.
Yes.
And Morph finds finds the soda machine and gets the diet out of it. It opens a secret door.
Yeah. I thought the scene, Morph was funny in this, which I appreciated. When they're in the Blackbird earlier and they're figuring out, okay, they have to go and do this. He's just like, okay, so just to clarify, this person who's been trying to kill us and is just awful suddenly is telling us just to go do this thing and we're just fine with that?
Yeah.
No. It was a good moment.
It was very funny. So they get into the secret lair and they find Trask. And I think there's some punchy before they get to him.
Probably.
But then they get to him and he's in this facility, in like a lab with like these really high tech kind of android type things.
Yeah.
And Beast is like, this is way past our current technology. Like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
And Trask says that Sinister is behind all of it and has been experimenting with a new kind of sentinel.
Yeah. And this is all happening in Madripoor, by the way. This is where they're sent.
Madripoor?
Madripoor,
Okay.
yeah.
So Trask is clearly just distraught and like he's like at the end of his rope. He's up on the roof and ready to jump. And I can't remember what exactly pushes him over the edge for it, but he's like ready to, and Rogue grabs his collar to stop him. So she's just hanging him over the edge because he had been about to jump.
Yeah.
So she's just holding him there and asking him for information because he's like the only one who will know. And he says that he's sorry he can't help. He has nothing. And she says, same. And let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see the reaction of the other X-Men. And I think it's Scott. It's like, what did you just do? And Wolverine's like, the thing we all wanted to do. And it's a dark moment. I mean, especially the first time I saw it when I had no idea what was coming. It was like a, whoa.
Yeah. She just murdered someone.
Yeah. And regardless, that was her intention.
Yes.
I think that's something, that you can't dismiss.
Yeah. So you see him fall and it's all very dramatic, but then he comes back up and is transforming into something. So clearly Sinister has done something to him specifically, not even just random lab rats or whatever. And he is becoming this like human sentinel situation.
Yeah.
He basically kicks the crap out of them.
Yeah, I mean, Cyclops at one point is like, listen, we can't pull any of our punches. He took Rogue down with one hit. So it's a big thing. It's a big face-off between them.
Yes, and they're really like going at it. It's not looking great. And then all of a sudden, a grenade lands right next to Trask.
Yeah, and Cyclops.
And boom,
Yep.
it's an EMP. Knocks him out because he's a sentinel.
He's half
and
cyborg.
It turns out that it is Cable. And he just strides in and is just like, yeah, you got to use an EMP on these guys. That's just...
right, yeah.
That's 101.
Very confident.
And then we have some drama. It's very light, and I think a little too light, that Jean, I guess, from his memory, picks up the connection that he and Madeline had before he went into the future or whatever.
Yeah.
And realizes that it's Nathan.
Yeah.
And then Cyclops, out of nowhere, somehow picks up on the fact
Just gets it, yeah.
that it's Nathan.
Yeah.
And he's just sort of like, yeah, let's just skip the...
He says, let's skip the family reunion, Dad.
Yeah.
And then they just go on, and that's all. There's never like
it.
a hug or it's...
Yeah.
Or even just sort of this is a heavy moment. But.
I did like that Scott was like, all this time. Because, like, they know each other.
Right. Right. Yeah. That would be something.
It's crazy. So... that kind of wraps things up and it feels like the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But then we get kind of what feels like, it almost feels like an after credits thing.
It does.
It's not.
And they've been kind of pushing towards this fact that there's a heavy, like someone's behind the scenes.
We kind of fade in and realize that Magneto, who they thought was dead, is not dead. And he's captured. He's got a power dampening collar on. And there's this gentle speaking gentleman talking about his plan. And he shaves him. It's so
That's
weird.
really weird. That is weird.
It's like a control thing. Because it's like he's like, as long as you hold still, everything's going to be fine. He's
it's a straight razor and no shaving cream.
And also...
he hot towels him, but still.
He does hot towel him.
That's a lot.
So he's got Magneto and has him like cowed.
Yeah.
And Magneto isn't even like objecting.
I think he's just beyond captured.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no.
So we discovered that this is Bastion.
Yeah. This is his like outside of comics debut.
All right. And he's got a very like casually evil vibe.
Yeah.
He seems to be connected to the computers, like physically connected to the computers. And he's talking to Sinister. Just like he's in charge, like we've sort of thought the Sinister was the secret guy in charge, but he's sort of shunted to the side and it's really Bastion.
Yep.
And that's basically it. It's just
Yeah.
like the reveal, Magneto's alive and Bastion is a thing.
Okay. I really like that we got this direct follow-up to the Gambit and the whole Genosha thing, and that's what this whole episode was about.
Mm-hmm.
It was dealing with that and sort of moving on to what's next. I felt like it was really strong. How do you rate it?
Yeah, this is definitely, I would say, the next best after the Gambit episode
Agreed.
so far.
Fully, yeah.
And yeah, it's probably a lot just because they told a story.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they did
it.
not break off. I mean, they let Rogue breathe. A lot of things happened that were just sort of like
Yeah.
No, I thought it was pretty strong overall. It was cool to have Ross and Captain America there. I like that they used the voices, both of those voices. They originally did those characters in What If, which is cool. The Chris Potter Cable.
I really like the original voice of Cable.
Yeah.
Like it has a lot going for it. Like it's just more interesting than you'd think it is.
Right.
So anything other than that is kind of a letdown.
It's kind of Nick Cagey in a way that I don't really like. So I guess that was the only thing I was like,
it's fine.
All right.
It's fine.
Yeah. And then at this point, it's a 3-part finale. I mean, that's what's coming up next. So
we're almost done.
Cooking through this season.
Yeah.
I wish that the turnaround time on these seasons were not years in between, but
yes, it's coming though.
Yeah,
slowly but surely.
That's right.
I wonder what they'll do.
Too much,
probably.
One would assume.
But is there anything left?
I don't know. They've told every X-Men story available. No, I don't. Maybe.
I guess I know I know certain things that they'll almost definitely do.
Jubilee werewolf, obviously. I mean, you have to do that.
Vampire.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, you idiot. All right. Well, so next time we'll be coming back with the first part of the final 3-parter. Tolerance is extinction, which is such a great line. I remember being really impacted by that.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it.
Yeah.
That's got to be a quote from something.
I would think. I don't remember how this season ends. I watched it once when it came out, and I don't remember. So
well, you'll have to listen.
So
next
I will
time.
be just as excited to hear the discussion.
Yeah. Thank you to Prophetic Music for our theme song. Previously on X-Men is brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Current shows on the network include This Endorian Life and 9021 Here We Go. Please rate, subscribe, and share this show wherever you get your podcasts.